welcome back to Maniacal Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. The first book I read in April was Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is a book that's in the Addicted series. I've talked about this series many times on my channel. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I actually reread this series for part of this month and the majority of last month because I'm eagerly anticipating the release of the first book in the spin-off series, Damaged Like Us, and the release date for that book is June 27th. The authors of this series recently released news about this spin-off series, which I'll link down below. This book in this series is actually the book that concludes Lily and Lo's story. This book is one of my favorites in the series because Lily and Lo are my favorite couple, and I just loved seeing the conclusion to their journey after all of their struggles. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This book was phenomenal the second time around. I teared up at a couple of moments in this book, especially their wedding scene. I was a blubbering mess during that scene, so I really loved this book. The second book I read last month was Fuel the Fire. This is another book in the Addicted series, and it's actually one of the books in the Calloway Sisters series. This book follows Rose and Connor's points of view, and this is the book that concludes their story. I really loved this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I also like this second book that explores Connor and Rose's romance because it delves deeper into their relationship. I also feel that this is the book that really tests their relationship, whereas the first one explored them getting together and who they were as a couple at the beginning of their relationship. I liked the moments between Reich and Connor in this book because Rose and Connor's relationship is tested by something that Connor goes through. I really like how Reich can be a humorous person around him, especially since he's going through quite a trial in this book. The next book I read was Long Way Down. This is the second last book in the Addicted series, but this book actually concludes the Addicted series. Some Kind of Perfect is actually the epilogue novel. This book follows Reich and Daisy's points of view, and I would say that this was one of the most emotional books in the Addicted series. Reich and Daisy are exploring new dynamics in their relationship since they're trying to get pregnant, but also other things that Reich is tested with in this book. I really identified with Reich's struggle in this book. I find Reich a really inspirational character. That's why this book is also one of my favorites in the Addicted series. The next book I read was Some Kind of Perfect. This is the final book in the Addicted series, and it's actually the epilogue novel. This book actually explores the 10 years in between the end of Long Way Down and that epilogue. So we get to see a lot of character development in this book, particularly what it's like for the addicted characters to be parents in this book, and how they interact with their children and their new families now that their families are growing. I loved this book. I loved meeting all of the new characters. And this book is actually a lead-in to the spin-off series. So with this novel, I'm completely prepared for Damaged Like Us, and I can't wait for June 27th to finally get my hands on the first book in the spin-off series. Really glad that I did reread this book because out of all of the books in the Addicted series, I remembered this epilogue novel the least, so it was really nice to refresh my memory on all of the characters and everything that happened with the Addicted gang. I know in my April TBR, I said that I was going to read The Linked duology by Emma Jean Housen and then hopefully move on to the Grisha trilogy or the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I didn't get to any of those books. My mood shifted in the middle of the month. I put off that sci-fi duology and those fantasy series, and instead I moved on to 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. This is a young adult realistic fiction book, and the reason why I picked up this book is because 13 Reasons Why is the rage right now on BookTube, and I wanted to see what everyone was talking about. Netflix recently came out with a TV series based on this book, and before I watched the TV series, I had never read this book before that, but I had heard of what this book is about. I also did a spoiler-free review of this book, which I'll link up on the I also did a video talking about my experience watching the Netflix TV series, which I'll also link up on the I. This book follows two characters named Clay Jensen and Hannah. Clay Jensen and Hannah went to school together. Clay and Hannah used to be friends, but Hannah committed suicide a few weeks back. Clay is left wondering why. Before Hannah committed suicide, she left a series of tapes that detail the reasons why she committed suicide. Her reasons for committing suicide revolve around 13 people. These 13 people are important because they all had an impact on her, and they all had an impact as to why she committed suicide. So this book is told from Clay's point of view as he's listening to these tapes all in one night. That's all I really want to say about this book, since I have already talked about it in a review. But I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. The story is going to stay with me for a long time. It's a very empowering and impactful book. That's definitely an important read. The next book I read was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is the first book in the Lunar Chronicle series, which is a YA fantasy series. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I won't go into too much detail about this book since I am planning on doing a spoiler-free review of this book, but this is a book that's loosely based on the story of Cinderella. After I read Cinder, I wasn't sure if I wanted to jump into the second book, Scarlet, right away, so I ended up picking up Wait for You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked this book. This book follows a girl named Avery who's like a regular girl. She's the shy, quiet type of girl, and she's recently moved across the country to go to college in order to escape her past, just to sort of leave her past behind and start fresh at this new college. One day when Avery is late for class, she bumps into Cam. Cam and her start a friendship because Cam just inserts himself into her life and they get along really well, but soon their friendship develops into something more. There's complications and bumps along the way, but I really liked how this romance was written. I felt that the characters and the things that happened to them were really realistic. It takes a while for the reader to actually find out what happened to Avery. So there's this unknown element of what happened to Avery throughout the majority of the book. Once the reader does find out about what happened to Avery, that's where the complications come in. And initially, Avery isn't sure if she wants to start a real relationship with Cam because she has reservations about that because of her past. This was just a really sweet romance. I really liked the character of Cam, and after reading this book, I desperately wanted to read the rest of the series right away. I cannot help but love Cam. He's a really good guy in this book. He's so sweet and so friendly to Avery, and I just love how their romance develops. And finally, the last book I read in April was Scarlet. This is the second book in the Lunar Chronicle series. I really loved this book. There was so much more action in this book and a lot more plot development, so I liked it a lot more than the first book, even though I did like the first book as well. This book bumped up the series to another level. I won't go into too much detail about this book, since I am planning on doing a full book talk on Scarlet. I'm not sure if this book talk will be up next week, but definitely the week after, so look out for that. Scarlet is loosely based off of Little Red Riding Hood, and Scarlet is wondering what happened to her grandmother since her grandmother has recently gone missing. Scarlet believes that she may have been kidnapped, so the majority of this book is around what happened to Scarlet's grandmother and Scarlet actually trying to find her grandmother. Those are all of the books that I read in April. Comment down below and tell me what you read in April. I'd love to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!